Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is a combination status update as well as a bit of a pro tip video. So since the last video, which was the Capilano River cleanup dive, prior to that I was off driving up north to Yukon and to Atlin, BC, which was a huge road trip. Took us a couple of weeks, and then we added an extra week at the very end just to make sure we had enough time to let the bathroom renovation guys finish up the job at home. So I'm out in the bush. I'm back in the Skagit Valley, which is the place that I've been to before, and I thought I'd come out and spend a couple of nights, do a little cooking, hang out with the dogs, as well as I thought I'd film a little pro tip.
1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
So one of the things that I realized as I was traveling, driving up north, is that, well, first of all, we had to cover a long distance every day just to make sure we actually reached our goal, our end goal. So you ended up driving just a ton every day. Now, some people, maybe just because of whatever reason, they drive a couple of hours each day. Some people drive a lot longer. We met a motorcyclist who was doing 12 hours a day. That's a long time. We did about 5 hours a day on average. There was a couple of days we did shorter, a couple of days we did longer, but it was 5 hours on average. So we met a guy that was camped next to us in one of the camp pads, and he was talking to us about how his back is badly injured from years of truck driving, basically long distance driving, and you really couldn't drive for more than a couple of hours. And then I realized that there's so many people, truckers, and of course RV guys, and now of course some of you guys are ex-truck drivers and you're out RVing right now. And I realized that a lot of you guys could benefit from a little bit of basically tune-up or a little bit of stretching just to get the muscles loosened up and tendons loosened up. So I'm going to show you a couple things that I figure that'll be very helpful for everybody. So one of the things that I know for sure is that as we sit here, the problem usually is the hip flexor. It's contracted and it stays in that one spot for many hours, and then the other one is your lower back. And I guarantee you there are so many of you guys that essentially tell you, oh, my back hurts, my lower back. I've heard a lot about lower lumbar, sciatic nerve, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you a couple of stretches, and then maybe there's a few other things you can actually add on if you have more time or more physical capability. I'm going to start with the hip flexor stretch. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we need a surface that's stable. A coffee table height is what we're looking for. In this case here, just happens to be my little giant ladder going into my truck camper, and this step right here is perfect for my height. You can use a picnic table bench, solid chair, coffee table, and so on. So I'm going to start by stretching my left hip, and to do that, what I want to do is take my left foot, leave it on the ground, and point it 45 degrees to my right. Take my right foot, place it on the surface in front of me, also take my foot, point it 45 degrees to my right. And then what I want to do is take my left hand, put it above my head, vertical, and then lean to my left. And as you do that, you'll feel your hip flexor stretch. The important thing is to have both of your feet pointed to my right as I lean towards the right, because I'm elongating this hip. And what you want to do is you want to hold that pose for about 20 to 30 seconds and then switch to the other side. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to stretch my right hip, which means I have to put my right foot on the ground and then left foot up on the stable surface. Both feet are pointed to my left. Okay, and then I'm going to take my right arm up and lean to my left, elongating this side, holding that pose for about 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat that about 3 times. So the next thing we want to do is we want to activate our lower lumbar or our lower back. And to do that, what we want to do is have a flat surface. Now you can either do this inside your camper, your RV, just do it on the floor, it's nice and clean. If you have access to a picnic table, so you can do this at just a regular picnic table in a campground. In this case here, I'm in Crown Land, there's no picnic table here, and my truck camper is too small to actually do this video inside. So I got my yoga mat here on the floor or on the ground, and I'm showing you how I'm going to do that. So what you want to do is lay flat on your back, and then what you want to do is imagine pulling your belly button towards the ground, okay, engaging that, and then pretend that somebody has their hand underneath your back, and you want to press your belly button to the ground hard enough that somebody can't pull their hand out. So if I try to do this to myself, I'm going to try to pull that out, and so it's pretty hard to do them on my own, but you can actually get your husband or wife or a friend to check to see if you're doing it correctly. Push your belly button down hard enough that your lower back is pressed in the ground, and then what I want you to do is take your leg. You can do this alternating. You can do one leg straight up at 45-degree angle, out and back, okay? And you can do them alternating like this. And this is actually pretty hard to do while talking. The whole time engaging your lower back, pushing your belly button to the ground. You want to do that for about 30 seconds, 3 sets. And then the other one you can do as well too, exactly the same motion, except this time you're going to do a bicycle pedal. You're going to do forward, and then you're going to go backwards. Okay, and again, 30 seconds. And you want to do that 3 sets. So there you go, guys. A bit of a pro tip for either if you're traveling, driving long distances, or if you simply have been injured in the past and always had problems with your lower back. Both of those exercises are sort of like very basic things. The IT band, you can pretty much stretch the 3 sets, 30 seconds each time. For both sides. And the lower lumbar activation exercise, don't worry if you can't do 30 seconds to start with. It's definitely a more difficult one. It's a very weak muscle. Most people don't work on it. So what you want to do is, if you can do 10, 15, 20 seconds doing 2 sets to start with, and eventually working your way up to 3 sets of 30 seconds of those exercises, that'd be great. One of the other things you can do as well too is pull over every hour and a half or so at a rest stop that's convenient, and taking the opportunity to do the IT band, or sorry, not the IT, the hip flexor stretch each time. You don't have to do that the lower lumbar exercise every time, but every rest stop that you come to, you can just do 30-second stretch on each side, and also just taking an opportunity to maybe walk the length of the rest stop. Personally, what I was doing on my long road trip is I was simply getting out and doing some squats. I do some squats, do some jumping jacks, just to get my legs moving, because honestly it was just long periods of sitting there and doing absolutely nothing. So a little bit of movement, a little bit of stretching, I think you're going to feel a lot better. Okay, anyways, more stuff to come. And oh yes, status update. So basically there's going to be some big cleanup events coming up for the guys who follow this channel because of my lake cleanup efforts. So we're going to do, sorry, there's just a lot of flies here. We're going to be going to Cat Lake, which you saw the video a few episodes back where I showed you guys what the lake floor looked like. That's a 2-day cleanup. We're camping out there. We're also going to Cultus Lake, which historically that's been a pretty messy with garbage as well too. And then we're also going to Alice Lake. Alice Lake is not like a heavily polluted lake. There's more children's toys and swim goggles, that kind of thing, but we're going to go over and have a look at it anyways. We're camping that one as well too. So those are the 3 big ones coming up, and we will also have some just simple one-day dives, and that's going to be Deep Cove Government Dock, as well as Sassamat Lake, which is another heavily polluted lake. So looking forward to getting those out. Sorry, I'm distracted because there's just so many horseflies flying around me right now, as well as Maggie is hanging out my side right here. So anyways, see you guys in the next video. Thanks very much for hanging out with me. Cheers.